Daniel's life begins in a moment of heartbreak. Jerusalem had fallen. Babylon's armies marched in, fires burned, families scattered, and young boys with potential were taken captive. Imagine being a teenager, maybe 16, watching your world collapse and being forced into a land with new gods, new rules, and new expectations. But Daniel carried something the Babylonians didn't understand: this quiet, steady faith that refused to die even in a foreign land. He didn't fight with swords. He didn't shout in the streets. He simply lived a life that stayed aligned with God no matter what the world demanded from him. What happened because of that? He became the man God used to reveal dreams, interpret mysteries, and deliver prophecies that stretch all the way to the world's final chapter. A young man in Babylon. When Daniel arrived in Babylon, the king wanted to reshape him: mind, culture, loyalty, identity. He was trained in their language, history, and politics. Everything was designed to make him forget where he came from. But his first test came in the simplest form: food. The king's meals were dedicated to idols. Eating them meant silent compromise, and Daniel felt that tiny whisper inside: don't lose who you are. So he asked for vegetables and water instead. It wasn't about diet. It was about loyalty. He didn't argue or give speeches. He just made a quiet choice with huge meaning. 10 days later, he looked healthier than everyone else. God honored his faithfulness, and that small decision set the foundation for everything God would later reveal through him. There's a real life lesson here. You don't lose your faith in one big moment, you lose it in little choices. And you protect it the same way: small choices that honor God even when no one is watching. The dream that changed everything. One night, the powerful King Nebuchadnezzar woke up terrified from a dream he couldn't even remember. But he felt it in his bones. This dream meant something big. So he demanded the impossible from his magicians. Tell me the dream and the meaning. No one could. Everyone knew it. And the king ordered all wise men to be executed. Daniel heard the news, and instead of panicking, he went straight into prayer. That calm trust is what makes Daniel's story so beautiful. He didn't rush. He didn't bargain. He simply prayed. That night, the dream was revealed to him. The king had seen a giant statue. A head of gold. A chest of silver. A belly of bronze. Legs of iron. Feet of iron mixed with clay. Then a stone, not shaped by human hands, smashed the statue into dust and grew into a mountain filling the earth. Daniel told the king what it meant. Babylon was the golden head. After Babylon would come Persia. Then Greece under Alexander. Then Rome. And finally, a divided world, strong and weak mixed together, just like iron and clay. And then God would set up a kingdom no one could destroy. Daniel wasn't just explaining a dream. He was revealing history centuries before it happened. And part of that prophecy reaches right into our modern world: nations strong and weak, mingled but not united. When the king heard this, he fell on his face before Daniel, the most powerful ruler alive, humbled by a young man with God's wisdom. The lion's den, faith under pressure. Years passed, kings changed, empires rose and fell. But one thing remained the same: Daniel's character. During the rule of King Darius, Daniel was so trusted that the king planned to put him over the entire kingdom. His rivals were furious. They wanted him destroyed, but Daniel had no corruption, no weakness, nothing they could accuse him of. So they attacked the one thing they knew he would never compromise: his prayer life. They convinced the king to pass a law. No one could pray to any god except the king for 30 days. It was a trap designed for one person only: Daniel. But Daniel didn't hide or change his habits. He opened his windows, faced Jerusalem, and prayed as he always did. Not louder, not quieter, just faithful. He was arrested and thrown into the lion's den. Imagine that dark cave, the smell of lions, the tension of death waiting in the shadows. But heaven entered that place before fear could take over. God sent his angel, and the lions stayed still. The king didn't sleep that night. He couldn't. At dawn, he rushed to the den and called out, voice shaking, Daniel answered with calm confidence. My God sent his angel. Daniel came out without a scratch, but his enemies, they faced the lion's real hunger. This wasn't just a dramatic rescue story. It's a picture of how God protects those who remain faithful, especially in times of pressure. Daniel's courage in the lion's den is the courage believers will need in the final days. Daniel's visions, a window into the end times. Now we step into the part of Daniel's story that still shakes people today, his visions. In one vision, Daniel saw 4 beasts rising out of the sea. A winged lion, a massive bear, a leopard with 4 wings, a terrifying beast with iron teeth. These weren't random images. They represented the same kingdoms from the statue dream, but from God's perspective. What humans see as powerful empires, God sees as beasts driven by pride and violence. Then Daniel saw something breathtaking. The Ancient of Days, God himself, seated on a throne of fire. Millions of angels. Books opened for judgment. And then, the Son of Man arriving in glory, the same title Jesus used for himself centuries later. Daniel also received a timeline known as the 70 Weeks Prophecy, which foretold the coming of the Messiah and looks ahead to a final 7-year period that many believe is the end times. He saw a final ruler rise, a deceiver who would claim peace but break covenants. He saw a time of global distress, unlike anything before. He saw the resurrection. He saw God's eternal kingdom established. Daniel never asked to see these things. They were given because he was faithful in the small things. Daniel's last message. Daniel's final visions left him exhausted. Imagine carrying images of nations, wars, angels, final battles, and the end of history inside your mind. One angel told him, "Seal the book until the time of the end. Many will search for understanding, and knowledge will increase." Some details were meant for a future generation, a world where information travels fast and nations move like storms. Sounds very much like our world now. Daniel asked God how long until all this would happen, but the answer was symbolic, hidden, not fully clear. The message wasn't meant to satisfy curiosity. It was meant to inspire faithfulness. The final promise given to Daniel was gentle and beautiful. Those who remain faithful will shine like stars forever. It's a reminder that even in a world full of shifting kingdoms, God sees the quiet faith of those who stand strong. Conclusion. Daniel's story isn't just a historical tale. It's a blueprint for living in a world filled with pressure, confusion, and change. His life teaches us: stay faithful in small choices. Stand firm in pressure. Pray even when it's costly. Trust when the future looks heavy. Hold on when the world feels uncertain. Daniel didn't survive because he was strong. He survived because he was surrendered. And that surrender opened doors to visions that still guide believers today. His courage speaks into our time. His prophecies point toward our future. His faith shows us how to live as the world moves toward its final chapter. And maybe that's why Daniel's story still feels alive, because it whispers to anyone searching for hope in the middle of troubled times.